Cash and that all black. Told my friends and they all laughed. I wrote be yourself in the hallway. Spray painted in all caps.
I see you, and I know your struggle. I imagine that you're feeling a bit like Alice, and I know that the rabbit hole you're tumbling down isn't the wonderland you expected. I'm willing to bet that when you saw the promised land for the first time, you didn't know that giants were waiting for you. Giants that you couldn't see because seeds of seduction start small. And fragile flesh would fight for freedom from its clutches if it had the strength. I wish I'd known that. I wish my soul was informed of the landmines on standby as my eyes try to stay fixed on eternity. That walks in the park don't exist in Christianity. I wish I would have known that I was showing up for a fight, and I might not have gotten my lights knocked so often. I didn't know that everything I was waiting for was on the other side of a war that was already won. But for me, the battle had only begun. So for you, take heed. These are my war stories. Chapter 1. There are serpents silently sliding in the midst of redemption's garden. And if you fail to proceed with caution, their fangs will clip your heels. Every step will be more painful than the last until you have no will left to walk. And if you think you are strong enough to resist, you are wrong. And I would know. It wasn't that long ago when my passions linked up with my logic, started relaying rebellious frequencies, signaling the enemy to the wavelength needed to turn my heart station to the secular tune I was familiar with. So I insist you listen. This race must be ran faithfully. So when given a chance to Judas your faith, flee. Chapter 2. Watch your alliances. The actions you put out depends on the information you take in, and what you take in depends on who's in your inner circle, and mine was a ring of fire. Suggestions were crouching tigers, friends were hidden dragons, and my flesh was a loose cannon. Can I serve a master that those closest to me hate? It all seems so simple. But when I returned my confiscated soul to its owner, I wasn't aware that such opposition awaited me. I wasn't aware that the suggestions of jesters would court me into contempt, that instead of respect, I'd be met with intellect that tested the validity of the commitment I had only recently made, and they knew exactly what to say to cut under the sheets of my skin where sin seeks to lay to this day. Know that it is okay to step away from those who don't know the risk you take. Every time you take part in things that break God's heart, let God change their hearts, because yours isn't good enough for that job anyway. Chapter 3. Don't go back. Don't go back. Some days it may seem like the cesspool of sin you're sitting in doesn't see a simple end, but don't be a simpleton and continue. This world has nothing to offer but a beautiful veil pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth of its lies, that every treasure it provides is the disguise that leads to the same trap. And like Lot's wife, it paralyzes you every time that you decide to look back. Don't be spiritually blinded by the devices of our enemy's attack, because you'll find the divine eternal riches of Adonai much better than that. Listen, His word speaks louder than the rumblings of temptation. His voice sounds like light. The way it beams on my imbalances and keeps me from falling, I can't recall how many times my foot almost slipped, or tally up the marks that I continually miss, but against His name, no storm can sustain this rain. Jesus, the captain of the host, is also a friend who sticks close. Though at times you may feel alone, He is there. This is the fight that awaits you, the fight that I proudly continue. The good fight. This faith-paved road may be littered with some sorrows, and those who I thought friends may have turned their backs, and the words from their lips may still seduce my desire for acceptance. But if I pause for a second, instead of investing in what was not supposed to be, I will see that the Lord's love for me is priceless. His love is the ocean, and my heart was a stubborn hollow shell stuck on the shoreline that got swept away by the tidal wave of His mercy. He saw me as worth it, called me from darkness, rejoices at the sight of me despite my depravity and the battle scars splattered on my soul. I know that I will never have it all together, but now until forever, I am His. He is mine, and He is enough.
Cash and that all black. Told my friends and they all laughed. I wrote be yourself in the hallway. Spray painted in all